Hello and welcome to the interview on France 24. We're joined by the President of Armenia, Armén Sարգսյանը. Mr. President, thank you very much for being with us from Yerevan in Armenia.
Well, it's a pleasure to speak to you, Stephanie.
There is a war in Nagorno-Karabakh, an enclave in Azerbaijan, mostly populated by Armenians, a war between Azerbaijan and your country, Mr. President, Armenia. Mr. President, your country and Azerbaijan agreed on a new ceasefire on Saturday night. It was a new attempt. The ceasefire was once more violated. Why?
Well, I have a question here to my Azeri colleagues. To the leadership of Azerbaijan, it's not to the Armenian side. And the first question is why on earth on the 27th of September, Azerbaijan started the war against the Republic of Artsakh, people of Nagorno-Karabakh. Of course, Armenia as a republic and Armenians worldwide, including those Armenians that live in France, they support Nagorno-Karabakh. So the question is, we had more than 20 years, a peace process which was led by OSCE Minsk group, co-chaired by France, by United States and Russia, and that negotiations were going more than 20 years and they were quite successful because the moment you have that sort of a complexity of an issue, there are hundreds and hundreds of questions. So the Minsk process has reduced it and successfully solved a lot of issues, created some sort of a trust, and eventually they were close to resolutions with a couple of questions that were the most important, political, and the questions that needed political will and compromise. But on 27th of September, Azerbaijan started the war. And as you know, after a while, Russia mediated a ceasefire. And that ceasefire was broken by Azeri side. And I think it's a question more to Azeri side, why on earth they started the war and why they sort of broke the ceasefire. And the breaking ceasefire and the beginning of the war, both of them started with shelling of Stepanakert, which is the capital city of Republic of Artsakh. And the third time, as far as I know, and I think the French side and the co-chairs and the French side were also involved to create a stable ceasefire, but again, Azerbaijan has violated it.
Right.
It looks like they believe that they can sort out the conflict with a war, rather than talking.
Right, Mr. President, but the Azerbaijan's defense ministry accused Armenia of using weapons to attack the positions of the Azerbaijani army in two regions north of Nagorno-Karabakh along the border. So what's your take on this, Mr. President?
Well, I'm not in a position of basically answering to the Minister of Defense of Azerbaijan, so I don't think that he is correct. And you can ask my defense minister or the defense minister of Republic of Artsakh.
Turkey and Azerbaijan, Mr. President, deny the fact that Turkey sent Syrian jihadists in Nagorno-Karabakh. You say they do. Do you have proofs, Mr. President?
Well, you know what? This asking a president of Republic to come with a proof, first of all, I don't think is the right thing, number one. Number two, the proof is there. The fighters are there, and they are not only in Nagorno-Karabakh. These fighters were in Syria. These fighters were in Libya. Now that same Turkish agency have brought them to Azerbaijan, and the proof is there. The difference between now and the first war, which was early 90s, there were some jihadist fighters there from Afghanistan and elsewhere, but these were individuals. Now, this time, it's these Islamic fighters or terrorists, they are terrorist groups, forbidden by many countries, including France. They are now there on the territory of Azerbaijan fighting the Armenians in Artsakh, organized by Turkey. And I don't need even to bring a proof because several agencies, several states, and intelligence units or departments of specific states, including the Russian Federation, the head of foreign intelligence has confirmed that. And there are videos, photos, recordings, audios, and so on and so forth. It's not about proving or not proving. When they start speaking, the Azeri or indeed the Turkish side about proofs, it reminds me another proof that Turks like to speak about is there a proof that 1.5 million Armenians were killed 105 years ago in a genocide of Armenians? Well, I'm sorry. When 1.5 million people were slaughtered and a genocide happened, speaking now about the proof from every and each family to bring the proof that they were there and they were killed at this or that time, it's not what we have to think about. What we have to think about is not about the proof, because they are there, it's about the Turkish involvement and basically Turkey fighting alongside with Azerbaijan against Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh. Mm-hmm. And that's a fact. Mm-hmm. The F-16s, the Turkish drones, they are actively involved in military and non-military activities because they are bombing civilians there. So what sort of a proof do the question itself is misleading from the main, most important issue, which is why on earth this war is going on, and why on earth the Azeri side is not stopping, why the international community is asking for a ceasefire and asking to go everybody back to negotiating table.
Right.
And when the international community is also putting pressure on Turkey to get out from this conflict.
Right. Mr. President, Russia actually signed a security pact with your country, but also has ties with Azerbaijan. Do you speak with Vladimir Putin? What do you expect from Russia?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. Russia has a political military pact with Armenia, and we have signed with them not for this or that reason, because Russia is an ally and was an ally of Armenia for many, many years. Russia has proven historically that Armenia and Russia relations are one of the most important for two nations. We trust each other. That's true. Number two, Russia also has good relations with Azerbaijan as well. From that point of view, and because Russia is not directly involved in this conflict, unlike Turkey, Russia can become an impartial mediator between the sides. So this is what Russia indeed is trying to do. And with the announcement and the political decision made by President Putin, Foreign Minister Lavrov brought together with him the two foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan. They negotiated for more than 11 hours and they signed a ceasefire agreement. Well, the next day, Azeri side just ignored it. That is showing again that interests of Azerbaijan, in this case, probably more the interests of the Turkish side, are not in harmony stopping the war, are not in harmony stopping shellings of civilians, are not in harmony of going back to negotiations and solving the issue with a peaceful means. Most probably, Turkey has completely other plans, ideas, and that's why Turkish presence, the presence of Turkish component there, is not allowing Azerbaijan to go on with the ceasefire. Should
there be a Russian military intervention in the conflict, according to you, Mr. President?
Well, not at all. First of all, Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh have proven, even in the 3-year war in the early 90s, that they can defend their country. Secondly, what I am preaching here is not about involving Russia and then tomorrow Iran and then the third party and making Armenia and Azerbaijan and Caucasus another Syria. What I'm telling here is that instead of talking about involving Russia, we have to talk about excluding Turkey, which has completely destructive role here. It is destabilizing the whole issue. It has added a new dimension to this, which doesn't have anything to do with the inspirations of people of Nagorno-Karabakh or Republic of Artsakh live in their homeland freely to basically have their religion that they just became Armenian Christians in the year 301. There was no Azerbaijan, no Turkey there. To continue protecting their land, their family, while Turkey has different approach and different ideas. And these ideas are not only related to Nagorno-Karabakh. Right. These are also messages to Armenia and to Armenians worldwide, but also to Europe.
So do you think the Minsk group is still the proper arena to negotiate? What would you expect from France or for Europe at large? Because you're talking about Europe now.
Well, let's first analyze why on earth, in short, why on earth Turkey is doing this. Well, they claim they are ethnic brothers with Azerbaijan, but they are ethnic brothers with many nations far, far from Turkey. Secondly, they spoke about PKK fighters, which is complete nonsense. They spoke about protecting international logistics or pipelines that run from Azerbaijan via Georgia to Turkey. Another nonsense. If Armenians had any intention of hitting them, they would have done that years ago, 20 years ago, not allowing Azerbaijan to make billions of euros and then spending them on buying arms and then killing now Armenians.
Right.
The real intention, most probably, and this is not only me, but a lot of analysts, that Turkey wants to be in Azerbaijan, to stay in Azerbaijan, and to control energy. But
Right.
if you look at what is happening the recent several years, Turkey is trying to control energy resources from Caspian and Central Asia that goes to Europe and
Right.
basically makes somehow Europe, at
Right.
least Southern Europe, as a hostage. Like
Mr.
they have made Europe a hostage because of the refugees.
Right, Mr.
Yes.
President, we're lacking
Now,
of time right now.
International community.
Right, just the Nagorno-Karabakh
I'll
took
go
control.
back to your question.
Yeah, the Nagorno-Karabakh took control of 7 localities very quickly, Mr. President, in Azerbaijan in the 90s, which became a buffer zone. Could this buffer zone be part of negotiations? I'm talking about negotiations, Mr. President. What do you put on the table? Very briefly.
Well, let me say it briefly. Today, the Security Council of UN is getting together. I expect them, after that, with an announcement to put pressure on Turkey to stop being involved. I expect NATO, European Union, to put pressure on Turkey and Azerbaijan to stop and start a ceasefire. The moment ceasefire is reached, but everything is on table. That was the whole concept of having Minsk group and with 3 co-chairs negotiating everything. Whatever you said, the 7 regions, the 5 regions, the 2 regions, and eventually the most important thing is the final status of Nagorno-Karabakh. So everything is on table for negotiations, but there is one simple thing, one simple step one has to do.
Right, well, thank
Stop
you.
the war, go to the table of negotiations.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned on France 24. More news are coming up.